Shalom. This is Brother Richard at King James Bible University, and we have no dealings with any Christian churches or their doctrines, any camp organizations or their doctrines, Hebrew Israelite movements, or any of that. We are servants of the Most High God of Israel, using the King James Bible with the Apocrypha. Thank you. So, Shalom. Again, Shalom. Today's lesson is going to be titled, Shall Ye Not Do? So, as we as people came out of Egypt, the house of bondage, the Most High God gave us instructions, clear instructions on the things we should not do. You know, we as people, we like to adhere to the things of the world and join to their doctrines and teachings and their ordinances. But the Most High God of Israel gave us clear instructions. So, get your pen, paper, notepad, electronic devices, whatever you use to take notes, and let's journey into the precepts of the Most High God. I'm going to get out the way and let these precepts do the talking. So let's start at Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 3. Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 3. And it reads, After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. So, spiritually, we know that Egypt has a meaning. And so let's go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2 to see exactly what Egypt means according to the precepts. Exodus 20 and verse 2. And it reads, I am the Spirit of God thy guide, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So right here we see Egypt represents bondage. Bondage within your mind. So let's pivot right back to Leviticus 18 and 3, our foundational scripture. Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 3. And again it reads, verse 3 right there. Again it reads, After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So, again, we shouldn't walk in their ordinances. We shouldn't do anything that past way of life that the Most High brought us out of, we should not do. Instead, let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 4 to see what we are supposed to be doing. Again, he always gives us clear instructions. Again, that's Deuteronomy chapter 4. And that's going to be verse 39 through 40. Get right there. Deuteronomy 4, 39 through 40. Let's see. Okay. And it reads, Now therefore this day consider in thine heart that the Spirit of God is God of heaven above and upon the earth beneath. There is none else. Thou shalt keep, therefore, his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee and with thy children after thee, that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which the Spirit of God thy God giveth thee forever. Okay? So as we read this, we see his instructions on what he tells us to do. In verse 40, again it says, thou shalt keep therefore his statutes, not what was done in Egypt, not what was done in Canaan. His statutes, his commandments, which I command thee this day. All right? This day, meaning today. Do it. So every morning when we wake up, we need to do what the Most High God of Israel, the Spirit of God, JEHOVAH, tells us that day. And that's every day. So from there, we're going to go to Proverbs 22:6, because we see in verse 40, it also says, and with thy children after thee. So let's go to Proverbs 22 and verse 6. Proverbs 22 and verse 6. 22. And we're going to go to verse 6. My bad. 22 and verse 6. And it reads, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That's important. You know, if you train your child, you start them early, teach them these laws, statutes, and commandments from the Most High God, then when they get older, they won't worry about it. You won't have to worry about them wanting to do the things that was in Egypt that we came out of. You know, they may have to endure for its time, or you don't always endure. You got to endure to the end. But train them up correctly, so that way they'll know, no, I can't do that. No, I'm not supposed to be doing that. All right. And so we're going to go from here. We're going to go to Deuteronomy 6. Deuteronomy 6, because it's something we're supposed to be teaching them. Not just, train them up, teach them how to read, write, and all that. It's what we are supposed to be teaching them. And that's going to be found in Deuteronomy 6. And we're going to start at verse 2. Deuteronomy 6 and verse 2. And it reads, that thou mightest fear the Spirit of God thy God, to keep all his statutes and all his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy sons sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. So you see right here it's telling us to teach our sons. But we're gonna slide on down to verses 5 through 7. And so from 5 through 7, we got, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God, the Spirit of God thy guide, with all thine heart, and with all thine soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee, again, this day, shall be in thine heart. And what shall we do? Right here at verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. Thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So every opportunity that we have, we need to be teaching our children what thus saith the Most High God of Israel. Every opportunity that we get. Good morning. Good morning. You give them some word. Good afternoon. How was school? You give them some word. Good night. Before they lay down, you give them some word. So you need to be teaching your children at all times what you should be doing, what they should be doing, according to the Most High God. And this isn't in the lesson, but I'm going to pivot, which is supposed to be in the lesson in the beginning. But I'm going to pivot to Psalms 119. I'm going to go to Psalms 119 and verse 4. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. So it's a commandment to keep the precepts. So that's what we need to be teaching our children. And then we're going to go down to verse 104. Psalms 119:4 and Psalms 119:104. You know, these are pivotal scriptures. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. This is what we need to be teaching our children. The precepts of the Most High God of Israel. Alright? And it's a reason why we need to be teaching it. Okay? And so I'm gonna transition to Psalms 83. We're gonna go to Psalms 83, verse 3 and 4. Okay, because they will be out in this world, and they have to know how to conduct and have to know what's really going on. So Psalms 83, verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So they don't want us to know who we are. So if we teaching our children who they are, then they can overcome whatever the enemy, whatever Egypt, whatever Canaan, whatever anything may have to bring, because they know who they are and who they belong to. That's important that we teach this to our children. And ourselves, for that matter. You know, we can't just focus so much on teaching our children that we teach them one thing. What's the saying go? Do what I say, not as I do. No. We all need to be walking according to the precepts of the Most High God of Israel. Alright? So, from there, we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 2. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Let's get there. Chapter 10. Okay. Verse 2. Oops. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. And it reads, Thus saith the Spirit of God, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So not only are we not supposed to do what they was doing over in Egypt, right, that we came from, but as Elder Johnson always say, we are going through this world, not in this world. So as we coming from Egypt, don't learn the ways of the heathen either. And many of us have done that. And so with that verse, I'm gonna take it's gonna transition us to First Mcabes. We're gonna go to First Mcabes, chapter number 1. Excuse me. And we're gonna go down to verse 15. This is what we done, y'all. First Mcabes, chapter 1 and verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So we know spiritually, that's telling us we have control over everything that goes on. So this is in the mind. So we done joined ourselves to the heathen. And another teaching for another day, Paul speaks on this. But right here, we see that we forsook the holy covenant. God gave us something, and we said, you know what, God, I don't want that. I'm gonna do what they doing over here, and we know where that's gonna lead us. It's not a very cool place, to say the least. And so from First Mcabes, I want us to go to Jeremiah chapter 42 and verse 19. Jeremiah chapter 42 and verse 19. Verse number 19. So here we go. Okay, and it reads, I, the Spirit of God, has said concerning you, O ye remnant of Judah, go ye not into Egypt. Know certainly that I have admonished you this day. Y'all, that is clear as can possibly be. It don't get no clearer than that. When your parents say, don't go up that street, you know not to go up the street. Right? Don't go over there. You know not to go over there. Here the Spirit of God said, concerning you. You see the word you? Concerning you, O remnant of Judah, go ye not into Egypt. Okay? And so when I read that scripture there, it's gonna send us to chapter to Exodus 32. So we're gonna go to Exodus 32, and we're gonna see, because although he gave us these instructions, this is what he said in Exodus 32 and verse 9. Exodus 32 and verse 9. And it reads, and the Spirit of God said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, and remember, it is a stiff-necked people. Right? This is a stiff-necked people. So, what we gonna do? Mosey our tail right on back to Egypt. Although we got clear instructions not to do that, we gonna mosey ourselves right back on to Egypt. So, and when we do that, it's gonna do what? We're gonna go to Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7. Verse 23. Romans chapter 7 and verse 23. And it reads, but I see another law in my members, warned against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. So we already know, like I said, doing this spiritually, Egypt is spiritual bondage, spiritual captivity. So your members is bringing you to that, and it's going to lead to one thing, and that's sin. And we know sin is no good to the Most High God. He can't dwell amongst it. So let's see where we're going to go from here. So we're going from Romans 7:23 to Tobit. We're going to go to Tobit chapter 4. Tobit chapter 4. There it is. And Tobit chapter 4 and verse 5. And it reads, my son, be mindful of the Creator our God all thy days, and let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress his commandments. Do uprightly all thy long life, and follow not the ways of the unrighteous. So this is what he's saying in the book of Tobit, And instead of warring with the mind of your members and going to Egypt, we need to set our mind, be mindful of the Creator, our God, all the days. That's just like when you wake up, when we was back in Deuteronomy, when you wake up, when you sit, when you lay, everywhere you go, every opportunity you have, you need to set your mind on the precepts of the Most High God of Israel. And so from Tobit, we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 42. Jeremiah chapter 42. Verse 17. 42. Sorry. Jeremiah chapter 42. We're going to go to verse 17 to 18. Alright. 17 through 18. Jeremiah 42, verse 17 18. And it reads, So shall it be with all men that set their faces to go into Egypt to sojourn there. Here we go, back into Egypt. They shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. And none of them shall remain or escape from the evil that I will bring upon them. So we saw clear instructions when he told us earlier that go ye not to Egypt. But we are stiff-necked people. And so I'm sorry, it said, you will die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence, and none of them shall remain or escape from the evil that I will bring upon them. For thus said the Spirit of God of hosts, the God of Israel, as my anger and my fury have been poured forth upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so shall my fury be poured forth upon you, when ye shall enter into Egypt, and ye shall be in discretion, and in astonishment, and a curse, and a reproach, and ye shall see this place no more. Clear instructions. Don't go. Go ye not into Egypt. But it's so enticing over there, ain't it? Huh. Alright. Be stiff-necked if you want to. Alright, so from there, we are going to go back. Sorry, y'all, give me just a second. We're going to go back to Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 3. We're going back to our foundation scripture. Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 3. And it reads, After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. So here we go. That's multiple locations where he done told us, A, don't go there, and B, don't do what you saw being done there. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, will I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So we see right there is plain instruction. But I'm going to pinpoint a couple things that our stiff-necked selves get ourselves into that we do from time to time when we navigate in this world that brings us back to Egypt. So one precept I'm going to bring that's going to come forth here is Genesis chapter 40. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 40 and verse number 20. Genesis 40 and verse 20. And it reads, okay, so don't do the things that was in Egypt. And it reads, Genesis 40 and verse 20. And it came to pass the third day, which was what? Pharaoh's birthday. And we know Pharaoh is king of sin, king of bondage. And so Pharaoh is where? In Egypt. So we see right here that he's celebrating a birthday. That he made a feast unto all his servants. He lifted up the head of the chief butler and the chief baker among his servants. And we know, as we read right there, don't do what was in Egypt. Don't go back to Egypt. But here we are, every day, somebody celebrating a birthday. Everybody wanting to be celebrated for a birthday. We know shouldn't nothing be celebrated but the Most High God of Israel. And so here we go, putting ourselves in this place when we had clear instructions not to do it, not to go there. Period. And so from here I'm gonna pinpoint another one, and it is in verse in chapter Jeremiah chapter 10. Jeremiah chapter 10. Another thing that we do that we had clear instructions not to do. So we're going to Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3 and 4. Jeremiah 10, verse 3 and 4, and it reads, "For the custom of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammer, and they move not." And so when we read this verse here, it's letting you know one of the customs of the heathen, one of the customs of the world, and to what? Christmas trees, Christmas celebration. So we already know we don't do any of those holidays and things along that nature. And here's a clear sign from the Spirit of God through His precepts that we're not supposed to be doing this anyway. But He know we're stiff-necked people. So what we do it. We put the tree up in our house at the end of the year and celebrate these holidays that come on so often when we shouldn't be doing that. And so I'll show another thing that we do. When we go to colleges, they have this pledging a sorority, pledging fraternity, and things like that. That's a whole lesson within itself. And I'm going to go to James chapter 5, verse 12. James chapter 5, verse 12. And it reads, "But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay, lest ye fall into condemnation." So that's one thing about going to these fraternities, sororities. You pledging, making a pledge. Well, who you making this pledge to? It's not to the Most High God of Israel. So keep that in mind. I'm going Greek, but no, you need to go the way of the Most High God of Israel and His precepts. That's the way you need to go. And so from there, we're going to transition. Now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 46. Genesis chapter 46. Verses 3 through 4, A and B. And they read Genesis, okay, A and B. And it reads, "And he said, I am God. I am the God of thy fathers. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again." So before we cross over, we know that the Most High God, the God of our father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, He is going to be with us. Okay, so we're making this transition. Going through this journey. We know that He will be with us. All right, and so from there we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 42 and verse 11. Jeremiah 42. Let's get there. Verse 11. And it reads, "Be not afraid of the king of Babylon, the king of confusion, of whom ye are afraid. Be not afraid of him, saith the Spirit of God, for I am with you to save you and to deliver you from his hand." So if He with us, it shouldn't be nothing in this world that we should be afraid of in the first place, because we're going to let Him fight our battle. That's why it's important to know these precepts, so that way you can have it when anything come your way. You lean on this word and you come through it. You endure, because we have to endure to the end. So you endure no matter what you go through. Have these precepts etched in your heart. And so from there we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 10. 1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 18. 1 Samuel 10. Oh, verse 18, I'm sorry. Yep, 1 Samuel 10, verse 18. And it reads, and said unto the children of Israel, thus said the Spirit of God, the God of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hands of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all the kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. So once you pass over, He brought you from those. You leave it in the water. He delivered you out of it. Leave it in the water, come up a new creature. Alright? So we can't allow those things to keep us oppressed, because He brought us from it. And so from there, we're going to go look at Exodus chapter 14, verse 23. Something that's going to always happen. Exodus chapter 14 and verse 23. And it reads, and the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. So what I want us to do here, I want us to look at this spiritually. So spiritually, what this is saying. And the people of bondage, the city of bondage, pursued. So as you go forth, it's going to pursue you. As you navigate on the king's highway, bondage is going to try to bring you back into it. And it went in after them in the midst of the sea. As we're dwelling amongst these people, the chaos, the turmoil of the world, the Egyptians are going to pursue us. Even all Pharaoh. So we know Pharaoh, the king of sin, the king of bondage. His doctrine is going to pursue us. It's going to follow us. It's going to chase us. His power, his doctrines and teachings, they're going to be after us. And even the teacher of the doctrine is going to pursue us. And that takes us, the teacher of the doctrine, that could be anything that is not of God. We sit in churches that we know God done commanded us not to be in. That could be anything. It's going to pursue us. So we have to keep on this journey, on this King's highway, and not go back into those oppressed things that we have already been, that the Spirit of God already done led us out of. And so from there, let's go to Romans chapter 12. We're going on this journey, y'all. We just got to endure it to the end. So let's go to Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. And it reads, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So don't conform to this world. Get through this world. All right. Renew your mind on the things of the Most High God and what is His good and acceptable, perfect will. Not what's the good will of your parents. That's the good will of your brother, your sister, or anybody else. What they want for you. You need to do what God has commanded you to do. And so from there we're going to go to John chapter 15, verse 19. John 15 and verse 19. Alright. And it reads, let's highlight it first. And it reads, if ye were of the world would love his own. Because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore the world hateth you. So, being that you at the King James Bible University learning the precepts the right way, the correct way that the Most High God has designed, He has chosen you out of the world. So, because when you start doing according to what this Bible say, the world will hate you. They gonna shun you. They gonna look down on you. Why you not celebrating birthdays? There's nothing wrong with it, but you know otherwise. Why you not celebrating holidays? Nothing wrong with it. You know otherwise. Why you not gonna pledge to this Greek? So it got so many benefits, and when you go out into the working world, we're not worried about this world. We worry about the world to come and making it to that world to see the kingdom and not the lake of fire. So from John chapter 15 verse 19, we're going to go back to Deuteronomy. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 10, 12 through 14. Deuteronomy 10, chapters 12 through 14. And it reads, now Israel, what doth the Spirit of God thy God require of thee, but to fear the Spirit of God thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Spirit of God thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Verse 13, to keep the commandments of the Spirit of God and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Again, we back to this day for thy good. This day. So every morning when you wake up, you need to keep the commandments of the Most High God, the Spirit of God, his statutes, because he commanded to us this day. And behold, remember, the heaven and the heaven of heaven is the Spirit of God's thy guide, the earth also, and all that therein is. So everything belongs to him, and he just wants you to keep his commandments. Okay? So from there we're going to go to 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. 1 John chapter 5. And verse 3. And it reads, for this is the love of God. This is the promise of God, that we keep his commandments. We already read that back in Deuteronomy, that we keep his commandments. But this is what he let us know about his commandments. Including his commandments are not grievous. So they're not hard to do. He telling us in his word. We're not finna call God a lie. He not a man that he can lie. This is his word. So if he telling us they're not grievous, they're not grievous. We just have to make up the mindset and be renewed in our mind to follow them. And so from there, we're going to go to Luke to give an example of them not being grievous, that it can't be done. I've heard the laws can't be done. Let's go to Luke chapter 1. That's Old Testament. Well, Luke New Testament. Let's see what Luke 1, 5 and 6 say. And it reads, Luke 1, 5 through 6. There was in the day of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Okay, verse 6, including, and they were both righteous before God. And what made them righteous before God? So this is the key part. What made them righteous before God? Not self-righteous. They wasn't righteous within themselves. They was righteous before God. And let's see what made that happen. Walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, the Creator, the Father, blameless. You see that? They did what they was commanded to do, and they were righteous before God. Not before themselves, not before men, before God. And the way they done that, by walking in the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, blameless. Alright, so when they say it can't be done, here go your example in the New Testament of it being done. And so from there we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 20 and 21. And it reads, "But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they establish the covenant with, they sacrifice to devils. They make covenants to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils." Alright. You cannot drink the cup of the Creator, the Lord, and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the tables of devils. So you can't on the Sabbath day, I'm going to follow the commandments and do what I'm supposed to, and then Sunday through Friday say, you know what, let me do what I want to do. It don't work. That's the Christianity mindset. Let me go to church on Sunday and clear up all the things I did through the week. It don't work like that. So you can't straddle the fence. You gotta walk in His ordinances, His commandments, His statutes, and not the ways of the devils, the Egyptians, the heathens, the Canaanites, but the Most High God of Israel. And from there we're gonna go to Ezra chapter 10, verse 11. Ezra 10, verse 11. Chapter 10, verse number 11. And it reads, verse 11. Chapter 10, verse 11. "Now therefore, make confessions unto the Spirit of God, your God, of your fathers, and do His pleasures, and separate yourselves from the people of the land and from the strange wives." So that's basically separate yourself. Go through this world. Don't be a part of this world. And the spirits that are not of the Most High God that are in this world, separate yourself from them. Don't entertain it. Walk this King's highway and put off these strange spirits, these strange wives, and these strange ways that we already done been told. Don't go back. Don't do it. Separate yourself from it. Endure and go along this journey to see the kingdom. And so from there we're going to go to Psalms 143 and verse 10. Psalms chapter 143. Let me see where I'm at. 143 and verse number 10. And so that's something we always need to ask God. So in verse 10 it says, "Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Thy spirit is good. Lead me into the land of uprightness." So you don't want to be in the land of your captivity, but the land of uprightness through God. And so he say, "Teach me thy will." We know do His will. Go off course again. We go to 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. It say, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, A workman need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So study to show thyself approved, and that'll take us back to Psalms 143. When you ask to do God's will, the way you gonna know to do His will is to study. Study. You got to get in these precepts. You got to get in this word to know what He require of us, which we went over back in Deuteronomy, what it was required of us. So we have to do His will, the Most High God's will, not our own will, not our friends' will, not our parents' will, the Most High God of Israel's will. And so from there we're going to go to Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 23 and 24. And it reads, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Remember, the captivity of Egypt is bondage. It's in your mind. So you need to be renewed in the spirit of your mind. And that you put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. So here we go again with after God. Not after ourselves, not after our friend, not after our family, but after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. So from there, we got a few more verses left, and we're going to go to Exodus 24. Exodus chapter 24 and verse 7. Alright, so as we come to a close, we're going to look at these last two verses. And it said, and he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Spirit of God has said we will do and be obedient. So we all really made this oath. We made this we've said this. Especially once you go down in that water and you come out, we've said this. We left that old man, we renewed our mind. We said we will do and be obedient. And what's that? How you do that? You follow the precepts of the Most High God to know exactly what to do and how to be obedient. And it says our last verse is going to be in Exodus chapter 14 and verse 13. Exodus 14 and verse 13. And it reads, and Moses, the word of truth, said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Spirit of God, which He will show to you today. For the Egyptians' bondage, the land of our captivity, whom ye have seen today, you shall see them no more forever. So if that's behind you, we don't have eyes in the back of our head, and we going along this King's highway, you won't see Egypt if you stay focused on the precepts of the Most High God and endure until the end. Thank y'all for your time. I hope that you were edified through this message. Again, my name is Richard Thomas with the King James Bible University, and I wish you all a shalom until next time.